I mean, not all, but just those special ones behind the curtains are actually reptilians. You know?
Ah, yeah, and they eat us in their spare time.
Yeah, and they sex babies to the Satan and so on. So
Yeah,
and they eat fishes and so on. So
yeah. If you listen to the conspiracy theorists long enough, you get to realize they're all insane.
well, no, I think they just want to sell.
All they want to sell their books.
They want to sell books, and they know that current world is filled with lonely, antisocial people who don't have much to do in life, but to read those conspiracy theories, and I think that is the way to bring your self confidence down even lower, because if you think that someone is above you and you cannot do anything about it and so on, your self confidence will of course go lower, so
Yeah, I understand. The people that sell those books don't have any confidence in themselves, so they sell garbage to try to convince other people that they don't have any confidence in themselves. And there's nothing they can do about it.
well, they are just hustlers, so they
Yes.
are hustling. I don't think that because even crazy people have a self confidence, if they weren't crazy, they would think twice about what they are spilling into the world.
Yeah, they're definitely crazy.
So what's up with you, Albit?
Nothing much. Sleep, eat, play games.
Sleep, eat,
It
rave,
is.
repeat.
It is same standard for us programmers as well. Sleep, code, and eat, and then sleep, and then code and eat.
Yeah,
But-
you forgot to pull your hair out to find that bug as well. In the middle.
It, can you repeat? Albit?
Yeah. Eat, sleep, code, and then pull your hair out trying to find that one bug that's...
Yeah. Well, the bug is here, and it is obvious that there is a bug, but finding solution to a certain bug can be sometimes
Really frustrating.
stressful. Yeah, but in many cases, especially now after 2 years and 8 months of experience, it became really easy to solve them, because now
You're trained.
we have some experience, and basically once you solve one type of bug, the next time you come to the same type of bug, you will be able to solve it, so
Everything needs time.
Everybody doesn't realize that the bugs are their computers.
did you all know how the word bug came into existence inside the computing world?
No.
Well, basically in the first
It's very primitive
of
what he is going to tell, but it's
Yeah.
true.
so basically in the first models of computers. They thought that a bug between the computers because first computers took the whole room, you know, they were very large scaled, and they took the whole room, and they thought that the issue in some calculation was caused by a bug, a small bug inside the computer, you know. And,
real bug, like
yes,
cockroach. For
a real
example.
life bug, yes. And that word just came into existence in our programming world as well. So,
Yeah, I used to work on those computers that took up a whole room.
and
They were big. I mean, the CDs back then were about 24 inches in diameter.
and how was your experience? What did those computers was came?
Oh, you couldn't get them to do shit. You had to punch everything into a punch card. And then hope your punch cards were in the right order when you fed them into the card reader.
Yeah, we learned
I mean, they would
about
work.
that in the at the faculty.
Yes, we have learned that, but I would like to
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
a real life experience.
I still
Yeah, they
remember.
were. I don't know how the military survived on them. They had to have a lot better techs than we were.
And they had just in those cards or memory, they just
Punch cards. Yeah, no,
Yes.
they would tell the computer what to do
Mhm.
if you did them right. And you had to have a stack of those suckers. I mean, probably about 100 of them to get it to just to read the card reader and put in memory, and everything was. The memory was. It wasn't chips. It was little circles with wires hooked to four spaces, and they were all hooked together. And they took up a lot of area, and they turned to a 1 or a 0 depending upon. They were analog basically.
And how many kilobytes they had?
You mean megabytes?
Yeah,
You mean kilobytes?
No. Kilobyte. Yeah, kilobytes were big back then.
Yeah.
I remember my first 8086 had 1 megabyte of memory. And I thought I was in seventh heaven. I had a 16 megabyte hard drive. Of course, you could make a pot of coffee and dinner while the thing was booting up, but it was fun to work with.
That was kind of 1 terabyte today
Yeah, terabyte today.
in cost.
I worked for Singer Business Machines working on their calculators, and one calculator had one electronic one, about 6 inches by 6 inches, had more communicating power than the first computers I worked on, because everything went to chip.
Okay.
Then the chips got smaller and smaller and smaller, and the devices got smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah, and
And
basically-
people's brains started getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
and basically
now-
as the hardware become smaller, it become cheaper, and so the personal computers came into existing.
Yes.
Yes.
That makes sense because if you have a birthday cake and it's small, it costs less. So
Yeah.
bigger cake costs
Well,
more.
I saw that movie about Bill Gates, and I saw how they were basically hustling with the store owners of the hardware,
Yeah.
and
You got to
Basically,
realize
yeah.
Bill Gates is an idiot. You know.
Well, he was
it's
more
you know what, Azora?
businessman.
Azora, you know what? It's better to
What?
be a rich idiot than the poor idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
That's-
one of the rich. He's one of the rich
every
idiots.
day. I mean,
So yeah, that is the problem.
I would basically be a rich idiot than a poor idiot. You know?
Yeah, a poor idiot has no recourse. A rich idiot can spread his idiocy around the world.
Yeah.
You know, sort of
Yeah.
like Erdogan and some other people we know, and I won't bring up politics.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was the only guy who was capable to get fired out of his own company. You know, he got fired by his own company, and then later on he came back again. But after I think Apple 3, something like he got fired.
You're talking about what's his name? The Microsoft guy,
No,
Erdogan.
yeah. So I mixed those two. The whole time I was talking about Steve Jobs. I'm sorry, guys. So the whole time I was talking about Steve Jobs. So basically, yeah.
Great.
I'm sorry. I'm
Maybe
sorry.
you were talking about Hitler all the time. We didn't realize. Yeah.
No.
Oh, how we missed that guy. Oh shit.
No. Okay, so
I know,
sorry.
I know that he was the inventor of computers, of course.
Bill Gates really has some engineering talent, you know, and he really did the work. But Steve Jobs from the Apple was basically a businessman, you know. So
Yeah,
and he was the only guy who got fired by his own company, you know.
oh, they wanted to do more competition with Microsoft,
Yeah.
but they ended up staying Apple, and they ended up staying.
Mm.
Oh, what's the name of the computers that use the Apple format?
Macintosh?
Oh, they're called Apple, but
Well,
Macintosh.
yeah.
Yeah, they're still the best reliable business computers in the world.
Mm.
Microsoft crashes all the time, and they're so open to bugs.
Because most of the Microsoft software is open source, you know, and
Yeah,
and inside the Apple iOS, it is mostly by its own engineers. So
yeah, you can write your own software inside your Apple. With Microsoft, you'd have a tough time. It's a lot of closed source and open source in it because somebody stole the source code and released it several years ago for a lot of it. But hackers all got a hold of that now.
yeah,
I wanted to say something about the big computers when you mentioned big computers. Most of the people probably think that era of big computers is over, but it's not true. We have servers that are really big.
yeah, of course. Like
They take whole rooms. So personal computers are
usually-
smaller, but servers are not. They're whole buildings.
They're still expensive, yeah, but they're individual units within those buildings.
Mhm.
Probably what you see is a single server is probably 100 servers
Yeah.
inside that building. I'm
Well,
afraid.
well, they say that the National Security Agency, that is the NSA, has the biggest.
Oh, they do. Up in Utah, northern Utah, they have computers that record everything you do or say.
For
Yeah.
example, now, what you say about them?
Yeah, they're scumbags.
And they are going to laugh at me how I mixed Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, you know.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's okay.
Expect FBI at your door.
They got a computer searching for. Well, they got a supercomputer searching all the database for keywords like bomb and terrorist and pukeheads. You know, they just they got nothing else to do. That's also the
knock as well. You will just hear knock on your door,
yeah, and a bunch of
and
pukeheads.
they will come.
Yeah, they'll
So,
come to
so,
your
so,
door.
so if, if
I
we,
hear you've been saying bad things about the government. No, not about the government, about you pukes. You know, they call them spooks for a reason.
so if we,
Yeah.
if we suddenly don't see Milos online for next few days, we know what happened. They burned his building where he lives with the iron cannon from
Yeah, outer
space.
space.
Yeah.
Those
Well-
damned aliens again.
Well,
Yeah,
I
it's
would be
retreating.
more. I would be more worried about Zora because he said in the same sentence bomb, terrorist, and some other things. So
I
Yeah,
don't
but
know
you
if
just
someone,
said them now.
if,
You
if
just said them.
maybe both of you are going to be. Maybe we will all be dead
The, re-
by
the
tomorrow.
retraining will be painful.
Yeah.
yeah,
Of course, if you believe the UFO guys, they'll erase part of your memory, and you won't remember any of this. I remember that. Anthony.
Men in
and so
black.
it,
Yeah,
uh,
black men in pink.
well, they have just put a woman in the role of the Will Smith in a movie in Man in Black. So they now have a girl in black as well.
Mhm.
Oh, they had her at the
I
end of the
mean,
last movie.
all of these politically correct movies and so on. I mean, it's not a joke anymore. It's like they are really trying to train Babasha soul.
They're trying to make women look superior to men. They've
Yeah.
been doing that. They've been doing that since the early '60s, since affirmative action was passed by President Kennedy and then Johnson. And you give people jobs just because of their race or their color or their gender.
Yeah.
You don't give it to them because they're qualified. You give it to them because you got to meet government requirements. So that's why our country's in such a stinking mess. That's all part of the very rich controlling everything. Their agenda is on what you call the Missouri Stones. There's a monument down in Missouri.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the very first, and the very first thing written on it at the very top is, it's in concrete, so it's relatively new, is get the population below 500 million. That way the Earth will be able to sustain it. And it's like, God, you have to wipe out almost everybody on Earth. Yeah, I mean, the population of America is about 400 million, so you'd have to eliminate everybody but a nation the size of America, or
Yeah.
somehow. So you get everybody to go to war, and you get them to fight each other.
Well,
All
they,
this,
well, they tried wars at a huge scale
Yeah.
2 times, and that didn't work. So they are now trying to come up with
With COVID-19.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, if
some
you look at it right, China committed an act of war against the entire world.
well,
Well, I'm not so sure that Chinese invented
Well, the Chinese
the
people
virus.
didn't invent it, but their government did. Yeah, all the evidence that we've had here is that the Chinese, it's got human DNA in it. It's definitely a manufactured
And how are you
disease.
sure? And how are you sure that CIA didn't do it?
Because it was released from China.
Well, the
CIA didn't release it.
Well,
And China forbade, the
What?
Chinese shut down all domestic flights from the area where they came from. They only allowed international flights. It was Chinese New Year, so everybody was going off to celebrate. Everybody let them in except for the Chinese. They didn't allow the other people to travel. There's over 20 million cell phones that have gone inactive since COVID-19 started. And I heard that 3 months ago. So, and that's how they live, is by their cell phones. That's how they track you. And that's a lot of people. I'd say it worked better on their own population than it did on the rest of the world.
I think you know that espionage works like a charm, and
Yeah,
I mean, you must admit that CIA has their hands into a lot of things,
so does the KGB.
Well, are not, they are not. Well, they are.
It originated from China, but it could have been any clandestine agency that started it. So it's kind of hard to start a world war over something you're not sure where it came from originally. COVID is just a cold virus. Everybody's had it. That's why it's not so such a large impact on the world. There's a way to kill the virus too.
except
Malaria.
that it doesn't have cure. That's the only difference.
You get it. That's the cure, and you build up immunity toward it. But the malaria drugs all work against it. Malaria drugs, antibiotics, and zinc. The zinc actually kills the virus. The malaria drugs and the antibiotics open up the cells so the zinc can get in. Anybody that's been on that treatment has lived. Anybody that goes in the hospital to be incubated dies because they're treating the wrong symptoms.
Well, they are. That virus is basically here to take out the elderly,
Oh yeah, the elderly and the very young, the weak people.
Yeah, so it has its own damage, It's not like it doesn't kill anyone.
Right.
But mostly the elderly and those suffering from some existing condition.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And actually, if you just segregated those people, I'm older, I'd say fine, we'll keep out of the population for now to keep from getting it. Let the rest of the younger people get it, get immune to it, and keep working, for God's sakes. Nobody would have missed more than 2 weeks of work here.
Milos, this is a good time to mention what happened to our manager, Igor.
Yeah.
Can you explain?
He catched COVID-19 while he was working, I think, in our office at the center of city. he got well very quickly. Like in 2 weeks, he was already, healthy. But he's basically a younger man. He has, I think,
Around 50 years.
40 years or
Yeah,
something like
something.
50
Around,
years.
around 50.
Yeah,
So
so,
how's he doing?
well,
Did he,
he's now fine, I think.
Nobody
But
knows because everyone is working from home. No,
but
no one is.
he's
No one is.
he's he is publicly known figure in Serbia, and sometimes I doubt that maybe he did in purpose in order to get some press or to say I had, like people who will do a crazy thing.
oh yeah,
Oh, you
yeah,
mean
like
for
that, like
to be
that guy.
famous? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, they
Why
had a
would?
famous guy in Iran do that. He was oh, what do you call not a well, he was a leader, a religious leader.
Mhm.
Said he has COVID-19. It's nothing, and like
Mhm.
4 or 5 days later, he was dead. He wasn't very old though, very old,
Well,
and he
Well.
died from it.
Mhm.
But that's what the disease was designed to do, is against the old people.
well, I'm not just to be clear with metal. I'm not accusing him of actually doing that, but
No, no, no. I
it's
didn't. I didn't even
I'm
thought
just
about that.
I'm just amazed
How
how
quickly?
yeah he got well. It's like insane, and because of that, I'm just doubting. But okay, I I believe him.
Yeah,
So
I was really surprised when you mentioned me first time that he got diseased by the COVID, and I have seen in newspapers, or in all newspapers, that he was diseased. So I didn't even know because we were isolated. We didn't have any contact with any
Well, the
person.
best way to get it is to ship in a Swede. They didn't. Well, they've got herd immunity.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
because they've all gotten it, and they had some deaths, but they've all gotten it. They're all immune to it now. We have a lot of states in the United States that did not shut down because they didn't see a need to do that, and they're doing fine. The best way to get it is from somebody that's already had it, especially the first strain of it is a lot stronger than something you get from somebody that's had the immunity to it, because they've reduced the threat of the disease by quite a bit. At any rate, so much for COVID-19. They still... My wife was exposed at the rehab place where she was going for a broken leg, and her trainer was exposed, and he caught it.
Mhm.
So he was gone. He was gone for about 3 weeks, and when he came back, he told my wife about it. He had COVID-19. He had gotten it from a patient, and he went through the treatment, and he was all better, and they can't find COVID in his system anymore. But good luck finding See, Gates wants to give everybody an electronic chip injected into you when you get your COVID-19 what do you call that? For TB, you have a inoculation or whatever. So everybody that gets they do it for the flu every year. Except they are always working on last year's flu, so they never really catch up. They give you inoculations. They just give you a small dose of it under the skin, and then that builds up immunity for that particular strain. Well, Bill Gates wants to give you a chip in that so you can track everyone. Nah, everybody hates him for it.
In his whatever he had done so far for the world, he always had some sinister intention behind.
Oh yeah,
So
he belongs to one world order bullshit.
yeah, so I am expecting some sinister shit as well now.
Yeah,
So
anybody that's for one world order hasn't read the Bible. The God set forth the boundaries for the countries, not people.
yeah,
The boundaries are there for a reason, and they're for just exactly for what happened with North Africa, with all the people coming up to Europe and going where they want to. Well, now all those countries are stuck supporting those people, and the locals hate him. And, you know, they don't want to do that.
well, Serbia is close to Hungary.
Yeah, good.
When they came close to Hungarians, Hungarians did a smart thing, and they had shut down their borders completely, you know. And,
Yeah.
And I really respect Hungarians for that, because most of those people, and I know that they are women and children as well, but most of those people coming in are war ready men, you know.
Yes.
They are
Where's their families?
engaged. Yeah, yeah,
They're war-ready men, and they're Islamically trained. They're there for a reason.
yeah,
I hope Europe doesn't find that out.
Well,
Yeah, when it says in the Bible that nation will rise against nation, it says ethnic group will rise against ethnic group. And that's exactly what's happening in the United States. This whole thing, you have one black man killed. You should discipline the police officer or throw him in jail. You don't have riots and burn down, 20 or 30 square blocks of cities and loot and pillage stores without shooting people. You just shoot a few of them, they go home. But the Democrats, who are the one-worlders, think they know everything, so they let them do what they want. And so the crap goes on. It's dying off. People are getting tired of it.
I'm just amazed how I know that in the 70s, 80s, and so on, America was basically, I mean, it's not my kind of Christianity, but
Yeah.
America was a Christian nation once before, and now I just see a lot of really weak men, like
Yeah.
And what is now?
We were a Christian nation. We were a Christian nation back in the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s. Things started to change.
yeah.
They eliminated Bible reading in schools in 1963, and since then, all the social indicators for improving have gone completely south. Your divorce rates are way up. Your crime is way up. Pregnant mothers are way up, and that's because the government gives you more money for staying home unmarried than getting married and having a husband. So that's why you have this conflict between the blacks and the whites, because the blacks are given jobs that should go to people that have gone to school for it, and the women are given jobs just because they're women. And the best thing to be in America is a black Jewish woman. You'd be guaranteed a job anywhere.
Or like
My son's a doctor. He's a doctorate in world history. All he needs is a teaching job. He can't even get a teaching job because they're awarded to other people. So my son suffers because he's white and he's
Well,
And he's educated, white and educated.
well, just be careful, Azora, not to come onto the same victim mentality as blacks. You know.
Oh
So
yeah,
there is this guy which I follow in US called Jesse Lee Peterson, and he really explained what is wrong with black people in America today. Most of them come from a single parent home.
yes,
It's like 70% of babies are born out of wedlock.
yes,
They have a high rate of abortion as well, and it's like they don't have any moral compass now. You know?
no, they have none. And their leaders, their religious leaders like Jesse Jackson and a whole bunch,
Yeah,
they're rich because they suck money out of the black people
yeah,
to promote their agenda. And their agenda, because they've had several chances to assimilate into white society, which
Yeah.
there are black people that have done that and they've done it successfully. But now it's their religious leaders saying, no, make the white man pay.
yeah.
So now probably half our taxes go to paying off not just poor black people, but poor white people too. And it's easier for them to get money. And then back in the 60s, they got them to agree that we had no business telling them what they couldn't buy with the money. So now they can buy booze or drugs or whatever they want with their food stamps or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, there's no restriction on it. So they get to become the lower scum of America. And back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, the pornography thing went off the charts. We export more crap than any other country in the world.
it's like now there is no male under 18 or less who don't watch pornography. You know,
Yeah. Well, you think all of them watch pornography?
it's
from the way they-
everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
me included. You know, I'm
And
not.
then they use that as an excuse. The women use that as an excuse to accelerate their agenda, which is to rule over men, which is not the way things have been for thousands of years. Now it's all changing. What's good is bad. What's bad is good.
It's all.
Things
it's
are
all
because
upside down.
because we are playing
Yeah,
World of
upside
because we are playing World of Warcraft, we can say things are changing from Horde to Alliance, or from Alliance to
From
Horde.
Horde, yeah.
How we can tell from Alliance to Horde.
It keeps us from getting into any kind of politically heated debate.
Mhm.
And now we're Horde. We're supposed to be bad, but we're not really bad. We're just
Okay.
pretending to be. You know, and but the United States is riddled with people that want to make the whole world one world, no borders. You can go any place you want to, and that is destroying most of the world. Europe is suffering from it greatly by lowering their borders. England's the only smart one over there. They've gotten out of it.
Just a second, Alita, are you still here?
Yeah.
Oh, great. What do you say about all these topics they covered?
No, most of the things I agree, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's nice to know that I've got comrades on the other side of the world that agree that the world's going to shit. You know?
Yeah.
Because we are
Change the-
living in
change
that
the
we are
Yeah.
living in that shit.
Yeah, all of us are.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that people around the world know that.
Yeah, you
It's
have
all-
my full support. I'm going to be back just now. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. we're starting to talk Bible stuff anyway. Missed all the preaching. I was talking to the guy that repairs my car today, and I started going over some prophecy stuff with him, and it's like after a while I just had to stop. I said, I don't want to preach at you.
Yeah. You're not a priest.
No, well, actually, according to the Bible, I'm a king and a priest.
Uh-huh.
But that won't be till later.
Mm-hmm.
When Ezekiel 38 and 39 plays out, which is getting ready to do, then the rapture will happen. See, people back, God, in the 80s, I think, the New Agers came up with the excuse that there's these spaceships flying through space, and they're coming over to take over all the non-progressives off the world. Well, the non-progressives, if you're a Christian, you're a non-progressive. And so they can explain away the rapture when it happens. I hope it's more people than what I think it'll be. There's probably more Christians in China than there is in the United States. I hate to admit it, but it's probably true. And people are sending their missionaries to the United States.
Yeah.
we used to be a beachhead for all that.
So
But anyway, if you get away from the garbage they try to put on you, Jesus Christ was the most anti-religious person that ever walked the face of the earth. He was. He had no use for religious externalism and show and pomp, and the only people he had vituperative language for were the ones that displayed all that, which were the leaders in the Jewish community. And I can't remember what they called them now. There were Sadducees and Pharisees. Now, Sadducees didn't believe in angels or the resurrection or all the good stuff. So that's why they were sad, you see. But the other ones did. So most of your converts came from the Pharisees.
okay, I have one question for you while we are talking about religion.
Okay, so I'm back.
What are the types of Christianity present in United States?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
we have here Catholics. We have they are a small group. We have Orthodox, which is a much bigger group.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eastern Orthodox lasted
I am Orthodox.
That's okay. Good.
So,
Well, there's nothing wrong with Orthodoxy. There's nothing wrong with Catholics. Catholics are nice people. They don't know shit, but they're nice people. I mean, it's true. They just listen to the priests go on, and they got their sacraments and all that junk.
Yes.
well, they are.
If you read through the Gospel, 1 Corinthians 15, the first 7 or 8 verses, if you believe that Christ came, He died for our sins according to the Scriptures, He rose from the dead according to the Scriptures, and He was taken up into heaven, then you're saved. It's pretty simple. And I've probably schmoozed it over a little bit, but 1 Corinthians 15 summarizes it in just a few verses. It's very distinct. And there's no, what good works have you done and all that crap, because He saved you from your sins while you were yet a sinner. So how can He condemn you for sinning? Romans speaks to all that, the book of Romans, and it's pretty in depth. So yeah, you're gonna fall, you're gonna sin, but when you realize what's happening, you just 15 seconds until logout. What did I do?
You're
Oh, it's probably
you're
I was
FK.
inactive. That's why you were dancing like a madman over there.
But you still didn't answer my question. So what types of
What
religion?
types? We've got Baptists, we got Southern Baptists, we got Unitarians, we've got
What is Unitarian?
Presbyterians.
So basically,
Okay.
you have all sects under the sun.
Yeah, yeah, we do.
That is really sad to hear.
The best ones are True Southern Baptists and Calvary Chapel in California. Believe it or not, the land of fruits and nuts still holds some of the best churches in the world. They're called Calvary Chapel. And like Jack Hibbs, Don Stewart, Jan Markle, and oh gosh, I like that guy too. I can't remember his name. Oh, I'll remember it later. Anyway, he's from Israel. Behold Israel is his webpage. He's a good preacher too.
So inside the Orthodox religion, that is inside the Orthodox theology, we think that the salvation is always in the future. As long you are alive, there is always a chance to fall into the sin again, you know.
You have to. Once you're saved, once we believe once saved, always saved.
Well,
You have to really not want to go to heaven in order to not go to heaven once you've been saved.
man must always be there because he is under temptations all of the time. So if you are saved, and we consider that to be a future action, because you are not saved until you are in heaven. So
You're saved here on earth, and you can prove that. All you got to do is read the Bible. Your mission here on earth is to spread the gospel. Doesn't mean you got to be a superhuman or something and go around and have a giant church following, just from individual to individual. And you're saved. I mean, you'll be taken to heaven, and then you got the marriage supper of the Lamb. There's a lot of stuff that takes place in both arenas. The deception takes place here.
yeah, and that is why you need to be there always and be in constant fear of the Lord, and in
Yeah.
order to know not to sin, because there is a saying in our Orthodox Christianity, as closer you come to God, the devil is trying harder and harder, you know. So
Yeah.
he will throw his temptations all the time. So that is why you need to be there, because if you,
If you think you're not going to sin, you can't help but sin. All you have to do is think a bad thought, and that's sin. I mean, I'm guilty of that all the time,
yeah,
but it doesn't keep you from being saved. You need to repent of it and move on. Sometimes I dwell on things, which I shouldn't.
well, if you don't repent, if you don't fast, if you don't pray, then I don't think you are going to be saved. But
Well, deciding somebody's salvation isn't your job. That's God's job. All you have to do is decide your own, whether you want to go or not. I want to go.
of course,
It's not our decision to decide whether somebody else goes or not. That's up to the Lord.
we also have saying here. I only have time to be concerned about my own salvation. I really don't have time to think about yours and so on. So
Well, see, we do
that
that.
is why I'm just advising, but I am basically more concerned about my own salvation because I don't have a time to also save you.
Well, everybody gets saved somehow, or at least people that get saved do. And when you talk to people, then they'll either see it or they won't. And they'll either believe you or not believe you. The problem is there's so much false science these days, and people don't investigate because they're not allowed to ask why anymore in school.
Yeah.
But you're just given this whole crap about evolution, and the only thing that's evolved from the beginning of time is the Democrats. Everybody else comes from human stock. The Democrats come from slugs.
Come from slugs.
They've evolved. You know, I don't have any patience for the lies and stuff.
Me as well. This whole separate. It all started with separation of
Church and state.
Yeah.
There was never
because that was just excuse to make the secular,
Yeah, there was never anything between the founding fathers here about church and state. That was stuff that was made up by the Democrats, who wanted to make an issue about everything. Church, you cannot keep your religion out of church or out of state. If you're a Christian and you're president, then you're a Christian and you're a president. You're going to keep your morals. If you're not a Christian and you're president, then you're not a Christian and you're president. Like Obama, like Clinton. No respect to the Clintons. They voted for Hillary the last time. Well, Hillary Clinton would vote for Hillary Clinton. Talking about the Bushes.
Well, here in Serbia, we have a beef with Bill
Clinton?
Clinton, yes, because he ordered NATO to bomb us, and I found that sad because in Second World War we were saving your soldiers in Balkans, and once that happened, that is bombing of Yugoslavia, I think that was massing inside our own business,
Yeah.
That is why we consider Bill Clinton, and also that with large ears inside Britain, we consider them for criminals.
Yeah, well, you got to consider that most people in the United States think the Clintons are criminals too, so we're with you.
Thank you, man. I hope I really see in Donald Trump uh, a peacemaker because he was the first American president. I mean, he's the first American president who did went to North Korea and handshake with Kim Jong Il.
Yeah. Yeah, Trump's good. He knows how to control things without a war.
Yeah.
He does very well. We're really trying to keep him in prayer for the elections because everybody else hates him. The Iranians hate him. The Russians hate him. The Syrians.
No. I really think that you can find allies in Russia. You know, because
I think we can find allies amongst the people, but amongst the leadership, they want Trump out of there because Trump promotes the Israeli gas line to Europe, and they get all their gas from Russia right now. So I think economically, I think he's done very well, but you know, politicians have enemies. That's all there is to it. I think that a lot of people in the world would be on our side when it came down to certain things. A lot of them would be against us on others. I mean, they've got a lot to accuse us of, and a lot of it's true. You know why Gaddafi died, don't you?
Yeah.
He wanted to change the currency with France to the to gold. He wanted gold, and the French president complained to Hillary Clinton, who was Secretary of State at the time under Obama, and she got NATO to send in forces to kill him. So she was ecstatic about. I mean, they had a toast and had some frickin' wine, and they filmed the whole thing like it was a great thing. But that's what opened up a floodgate of refugees from Northern Africa to Europe.
I call Hillary Clinton the wicked bitch of the West. You know.
Yeah, the wicked bitch of the West is right. Yeah, it was so pathetic during the elections last time. They would have the news media down and they'd film the crowds that were around her from the ground up, so you couldn't see behind them. But somebody up in the bleachers where the crowds were supposed to be sitting would film it from the top, and you'd see that there were only a thin crowd of people around her. She wasn't attracting any crowds. Everybody hated her. And still do. And she couldn't do a speech. Her mind's all screwed up, man. And the same with President Trump's rival in the coming elections. The guy is against everything that we believe in. Law and order, justice, the American way, the Constitution, you know, rights of the people and all that. He's against all that. Trump's for all that. So I'm hoping Trump will win. Then we can have 4 more years of mayhem. Democrats keep going back to some sort of scandal where they thought that Clinton was exchanging emails with the Russians when Clinton was the one that was exchanging emails with the Russians and keeping them all on her private server. She was a traitor. But the FBI somehow got to drop the case because of probably we had what's his name in office for many years. He was the head of the FBI. Anyway, he kept files.
Do you mean J.
Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover.
Hoover, right?
Yep. Yeah, he's the one. He kept files.
I heard he was a covered homosexual, right?
Well, that's what they portrayed him as in the movie. It's pretty sick. Yeah, he suffered from short man syndrome, so he accumulate files on everybody in order to keep him in line. And after he died, of course, those files somehow got in the hands of the Clintons, I believe, and they used it against the Congress to get shit they wanted. You know, I just you get so distasteful of politics. Why would anybody want to go into politics? You know, because they've all got a bad rep.
Mm.
And if you ever did anything wrong, it'd be in the files. You know, it's something to be used against you at election time.
Well, basically, I think that United States have reached
We're at the 200 years.
maximum of power, you know, and
Yeah.
in that state you are now like previous
Well, the Roman Empire,
empire, you know, and now
that never was defeated, but it
Yeah.
fell apart. It fell
and
apart.
now you are
Of course,
fighting
that's
amongst yourselves
Yes.
because you don't know what else to do, you know.
Yeah, because they don't teach about God and honor and country anymore. They teach about perverseness and
And greed
but
and,
this is environment. You know, but I get so sick of their bullshit. You know, they've got a term for everything. If they can't call it something, then they'll invent a term like gay. It's homosexual. You know, what's so fucking gay about it? Your lifespan's shorter. I just have given up on that kind of stuff. We're not supposed to concentrate on that as Christians. We're supposed to concentrate on the kingdom. And we have a king. We don't have I got a president of the country I live in, and it's my duty to pray for him. But who we're really looking for is the king. And the king said he'd come back. He's preparing a place for us. And he's had 2,000 years to do that, so I can imagine it'd be pretty nice.
I was listening to you too, and thinking all the time what Alit thinks about that, because from his standpoint, probably everything is different.
Yeah. Well, he can
Right, Al?
be everywhere and know everything, including the thoughts of your mind. So I don't have any reservations about what's going to happen. What's happening is exactly what the Bible said was going to happen. They used to argue for years that Israel would never exist again until 1948, when it did.
Aldit, are you still here?
Yeah.
What do you say about their religion's views? Because in Nepal, that's completely not the same, right? Am I right?
I don't know.
I think that
I mean,
I think he's
I
he's
always-
thinking Metal's trying to stir shit up.
no, I
Are
want
you-
to tell
are you-
that
Atheist
different
or
Muslim
Muslim or Christian.
different parts of the world completely differently look at the things. For example, I'm not religious. I admit that. I have completely different
Oh,
view
you
on
know,
that.
like
I'm basing
Reli-
I'm always basing everything on facts and on science. So that's my point of view. But I'm completely okay if someone believes in God, in afterlife, and that's completely okay. I don't have anything against that. And
Well, if this is all there is to life, then there's not much to it.
yeah, yeah, that's correct. Maybe that's it. Maybe there is nothing. We don't know.
Well,
Religious.
if you live this life in sin, then there is really nothing much into it, because
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
you get bored from sinning all of the time. If you feel,
I
if
mean,
you
wait. If someone is, for example, if someone is not religious, does he need to be sinner all the time?
Just because you're not religious doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You believe something.
Yeah.
You're just not quite sure what it is yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're coming to believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. He's the only one that says, you believe in me and I'll save you. All the rest of them, all the rest of religions in the world, you got to do something for. And they try to make Christianity into that, where you're doing. Now they got this social justice crap going on. And it's more destructive than anything.
yeah, I agree. But in Christianity, with your actions, going to church, be pious, be humble as much as you can, and so on. Those are specific actions you need to take, in my orthodox opinion.
Well,
that's also
I'm
my
not humble, and I have very poignant opinions. I don't think that disagreeing with the world the way the world wants to be is going to keep you out of heaven. God doesn't want the world to be the way it is. If he had his way, everyone would be saved.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get his way.
Yeah.
And that's sad. You think God would be able to do that, wouldn't you?
Because, as it is said, nothing of this world is of me. So,
well, he created Adam, and he created Eve.
But
so
you
the
need
only
not to lust
Adam and you. Okay.
on to anything.
No, you don't need to lust after anything. And probably that's probably the worst sin, because it leads to all others, and the love of money. But there's a few rich. The Prime Minister of England, Margaret Thatcher, she's saved by an M, because the Lord said not many rich will enter into the kingdom, because they don't understand, and not many well-to-do. There's a lot of well-to-do people that think they control the world, and they have no idea they do not control it. That they may do well and get in, or they may not. Not a lot of people are rich because they can't handle it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been a believer from, I don't know, I was probably 10 years old. But
in my case, I cannot yet say that I'm living a Christian life,
I can't either.
Because I do sin, because I still fight with my with my ego. I still haven't let go go of it from
Yeah.
selfish reasons, and I still need to to pray more and to go regularly,
Going regularly to church doesn't
church.
save you. Yeah, it
Well,
doesn't save. Fellowship with the saints, that's what'll save you. Because you share experiences.
just let me finish. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
uh, Going to, to liturgy is what saves you, because in Orthodox view, liturgy is a direct relationship with our Lord. So in that way, it does save you, and it also shows your discipline to do something active. So yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Going over the
we are
scriptures.
not, and just because we are not disciplined to do something, to wake up on Sunday morning to go to church, is not excuse that it does not help you. No.
No. No, do you do the whole counsel of God? You go through the Old and New Testament? I'm an Old Testament guru. I do that all the time. I like the Old Testament. It's easier for me than the New. Well, when God told you something in the Old Testament, you did it or you didn't. If you didn't do it, you suffer the consequences. If you did do it, you're doing good. He spoke to you. He used the prophets to speak to you. And it usually showed results. In the New Testament, you have a lot more promises. You have Jesus Christ. The whole Old Testament is about a nation. The New Testament's about a man.
Yeah.
And but the whole Old Testament about that nation is object lessons for us to deal with the man. And a lot of churches don't realize that. They look at the Old Testament as being written by Stone Age people. No, they do. They didn't even think Moses knew how to write, but it says that in the New Testament, in several places, that he wrote the books of Moses.
Mm-hmm.
So there was writing back then. There's also iron and copper and bronze, which would have started, 5,000 years ago? Which is a lot earlier than most people, the ones that say they know, which really don't know anything. They don't know when the world started. They don't know when the world's going to end. They don't know anything, but they say that dinosaurs are 60 million years old. Well, how do you know that? Well, because of the layer of dirt they were dug up in. Well, how long has that layer of dirt been dug in? Well, it's about 60 million years ago, because it's that deep down the ground. But they just use circular reasoning. There's no scientific
If it
knowledge
wasn't
about it.
funny, it would be sad.
I know it. You watch modern floods, and they'll cut out canyons in a short period of time. God said he'd never destroy the world by a flood again. And they say that it was only local. Well, if it was local, then God didn't keep his promise, because there's lots of places that have been destroyed by floods. It's a universal thing. You find fish fossils on the highest mountains, and you find land fossils on the lowest seabeds that you can get to. We know less about the Earth than we do about outer space. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah, I
partially
mean,
true.
there are
We don't
people
know
now.
everything.
There are people now that doubt that we went into outer space.
Oh yeah, I know. They say it's all a movie. You
Yeah,
watch the movie, yeah. Kind of drives you nuts, doesn't it?
yeah. I mean, I don't have anything about to know how deep the space is, and they are so confident that they say that space is limitless and so on. They are so confident that,
Well, they found an outer edge of it,
but everything in the nature you see has its end.
Yes,
Well,
and you
So
you
doesn't mean
realize that
anything. That
all
doesn't mean.
science takes its sampling from less than 5%.
I wouldn't compare.
95%, 95% of what's out there we cannot see. We don't have the ability. We
Milos,
can infer things. We can infer things from atomic accelerators and particles and stuff. But that's what quantum physics is all about. We live in an electronic simulation.
in
When you get down to, when you get down to the,
world of
when you,
Warcraft.
listen here,
Here we are
you
living.
get down 10 to the minus 34 centimeters.
Yeah.
Particles like photons and neutrons lose locality.
Mhm.
That means that at that size, every photon in the universe knows what every other photon is doing. And they've proven that with science. But explaining why, well, because there's one person that holds everything together.
metal, you wanted to say something to me, and
Yeah, I want to say that we can compare nature and universe. That's completely uncomparable things, and you compared it like it's a breeze, but it's not that simple. It's not like
Well-
yeah well, that's it. But it
well,
doesn't. We
no,
actually don't
just
know if universe has end. If universe has end, what's beyond it? Does that have end? And
but in
I don't
school,
even want to think about that. It's so complicated for our mind because we can't imagine something that we didn't see.
We really shouldn't talk about 0 point energy then, should we? About a cubic inch of outer space. 0 point energy.
Okay.
1 cubic inch of outer space of nothingness, what we call it, holds more energy than 100,000 suns.
Okay. I don't know about that. I never heard that.
Yeah, probably not.
Oh, they went back and forth on that.
Emptiness is emptiness. It's not energy.
It's not empty though.
but in school,
Yeah.
Yeah, in school you're
school
taught a bunch
you
of
learn
bullshit.
the first thing you learn in a geography class is that space is limitless, and
Yeah,
they say that in such of confidence. And I mean, I think that the reason for that is if the space is limitless, then you small Milosh cannot even believe in God, because who are you in the God's eyes if you are so small
right.
of dust, you know? Then you
But
look of God, and I think that was the reason behind that science.
Yeah, and anybody that's disputed that, including teachers, have lost their jobs because they don't believe that.
Yeah.
It's because they're not allowed to teach kids anything except what's the party line. And it's sad.
Well, anyway, that's really complicated. We don't know.
So it's not real.
It is. I mean, you can
quantum
always
physics.
simplify it like I know you can say that Earth is flat and that's it, but it's not simple. It's not simple
No,
like that.
the Earth isn't flat. And anybody that believes that's full of bullshit. And anybody that they used to teach that ancient people used to believe it was flat. Well, it's bullshit. All you gotta do is watch a boat go out in the ocean, and the last thing that disappears is the mast. It's going around a globe.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
not just ancient people, but also medieval people as well. In the Middle Ages, they also
oh yeah, maybe.
believed that
Or maybe they read a
the
book
Earth is
written
flat.
by some idiot and they believed it. You know. I just I don't think for the most part that ancient people believed the Earth was flat. I think ancient people were more intelligent than we are.
So
Look back at Genesis. They lived 1,000 years. They lived
some
900 years, 1,000 years. They had a lot more time to learn from their elders. They had a lot more time for schooling.
well,
We look at the
not
people in Bible.
everyone, not everyone. Let's be
And
realistic. Just a small number of people.
as the morals decreased, so did their lifespan
Yeah,
decreased as well.
well, that happened after the flood. Something happened during the flood that we're not protected from the ultraviolet rays the way we used to be. There's a canopy theory and there's a hydroplate theory, and I think both are true. But canopy
I didn't
theory,
hear
you can
that.
have a covering. You can have a covering of clouds without obscuring the sun or the sky. You can have a covering of water in the atmosphere. Pilots know about it. There's all kinds of moisture in the atmosphere. But you put a thick enough layer on there and it'll shield us from the ultraviolet rays of the sun, which is mainly what ages us and everything around us faster. During the flood, there's two different theories. One is the Earth used to be a continuous crust, but a pinhole poked through at one spot, and in 3 seconds it encompassed the entire Earth, and the continents, as we know them today, spread apart because of the pressure from the underwater springs. And you couple that with the rain from the water that was already in the air, you have enough to flood the Earth. It took, almost a year for that water to run off so they could go down the mountain.
And also, what is the proof of the flood is that in many sites in the world, like for example, the epic story of Gilgamesh talks about the flood, you know. So there are stories in the world.
Oh, the frozen mammoths in Siberia.
Christianity which confirms the flood.
Yeah, the frozen mammoths in Siberia. They were frozen. You're talking about a live animal almost the size of an elephant. In order for them to freeze solid and be preserved the way they were, hell, they were eating mammoth burgers down in Great Britain back in the 80s, I think it was. Some wolves had dug some of them up out in Siberia, and the meat was still good. But in order for them to freeze solid like that in just a few minutes, to still have the imprints of their molars on the leaves that were in their throat and their stomach, it is something. It had to be like 176 degrees below zero to do that. It's just crazy the amount of science that's required to freeze a grown animal like that at 98.6 degrees.
And we
Yeah.
and lost all our all entire life in science and studying science and exploring and as the as the years go by, we don't care of our souls at all. No one knows how to be a good human being. We
Right.
teach science and facts and facts and facts. You know, like
Well, they claim they're facts. You got to check their facts.
yeah, of course.
There are cities,
Agenda.
monuments they found underwater off the coasts of many countries
Mhm.
that are they're huge. And they're like the pyramids, only they're underwater. And how did they get there? And I think they sunk during the flood. I think a lot of stuff changed during the flood. It's just amazing the evidence that we do have. And they try to explain, these guys that need their PhDs write theses on how to explain away anything that God said happened, so that make it look like it's just natural. They still teach the nebular hypothesis in school about the planets.
Mhm.
Well, the sun only contains 0.02% of the angular momentum of the entire solar system. That means the planets contain 98.8% of the angular momentum. If something were flown out of the sun, it would have spin. Only at 0.08%, very slow. Very slow. The planets did not come from the sun. It's just a bunch of, the bigger planets would be closer in, the littler planets would be further out. Our planets are little planets in, them big planets and little planets.
Can I just pay your attention on some small, simple things? Like, for example, currently in today's society, most of the people live with some mental issue or with some issue that needs psychiatric help, you know, like, and no one is talking about that. For example, I have, as you see, a speech disorder, and I heard that more and more young children are getting that, you know, and no one is talking about mental health, which I believe is not mental health, but a soul health, a spiritual health. But and I think that should be our main concern, and not
yeah, well, it's
some
known
calculation about you know,
about the planets. I agree.
and not to degrade your facts, but I mean, yeah.
No, I understand what you're talking about. It's a known fact that the human genome is breaking down, and I've noticed it in our country, in my own family. A lot of people I know, human genome used to produce viable young people, and they'd grow up and be successful, and they'd have families and all this stuff, and all that's breaking down.
And why?
And because the genome is not what it used to be. Our DNA is breaking down, man. It's not meant to last forever. It has a definite life on this earth, and it's going. As far as I'm concerned, we're living on borrowed time. But God's time is a little bit different than ours.
I think
It is
we are
infinite.
truly live. We are truly live in the last times. I mean,
I do.
in these.
Last time.
Yeah, in these. How do you metal say tempo?
The temple. Do we say the same way you do?
No, 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 not the temple, but there is a Serbian word called rhythm or
It's
tempo.
tempo. Yeah, we say like English tempo. Right? Rhythm,
Okay.
rhythm or tempo or
Yes. So in this
rhythm of.
rhythm of life, and in this give me take world, you know, and greed world and world and so on, and degrade. I mean, they have managed to degrade a family as a unit structure completely, you know,
That's
like
true. Yeah.
like now
Yeah.
two homosexuals can make a family, you know.
Well, they
And
can't, but they try to adopt to try to do that.
yeah,
And
so
that should not be allowed.
I agree. There is a Russian documentary movie called Sodom,
Uh,
which talked about how male homosexual couples usually adopt male children, and female homosexual couples usually adopt female children.
yeah.
The reason behind this is that there are a lot of sexual abuse behind the scenes, because once you break the first boundary in the nature, then you don't have any boundaries left, you know. You just
Yeah.
go and go and go in the scene. So I mean, I didn't take, I don't know who came into idea that you don't need a mother and father to raise a
Oh,
child.
that was perverts.
Yeah,
Perverts who want to have their own way. Same ones who adopt the males and the females. Only they weren't all out in the open back then. You know, it's
sad.
a sad state of affairs in the world is what it is.
Yeah, and I doubt that our ancestors, even us who have some clear mind left still, would accept us fully. I think that even us have fallen in some
Yeah,
sectors of the way. So,
sure. I agree. These one-worlders have waited for the World War II vets. Most of them are dead. They're waiting for them all to die off. They want the old people. The reason that COVID was directed at the old people is to get rid of them. They don't want the memories from back when they were kids, to teach them what it used to be like. Whole new world, one world order crap, you know.
mhm.
And I don't usually, buy into the conspiracy theories and all that, but although my wife and son would tell you different. Uh,
Yeah.
So they
You-
think you're a conspiracy theorist.
At least don't go in the lizard spectrum of the
Yeah.
spirit.
Yeah, we don't want to get eaten by lizards.
I mean, what the fuck, like it's it's just insane. But okay,
Yeah.
the devil was first mentioned as a snake. So who knows?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of strange stuff that goes on. It's dishonesty that has caused it to explode in the last, 80 years, 70 years. The whole Roswell thing. If they'd have just opened up and said what it was, everybody'd be okay with it, But they got to keep it a secret, and then everybody's got to speculate, which has happened to everything since then. They speculate on everything.
And now everyone is entitled to state their own opinion.
Right.
There is no authority left. Like,
Nope, no authority.
and you have your vision full of the different ideas who don't need to be confirmed by some
Well, there's some young kid
yeah.
has been he's been a good Christian. He's espoused correct thinking along that line. In just the last couple of weeks, he's come up with Israel doesn't have a right to exist, and that Hitler was a Rothschild, and he did this whole thing in order for the Jews to have a shield to hide behind when they go back to their land, and he calls the Jews that are down there mafia,
Mhm.
and they're not really Jews, and it's replacement theology.
Did you know?
The kid's an idiot.
But did you know that the strongest mafia in history, I mean, in United States, was not Italian mafia. I mean, those gangsters.
Uh-huh.
The strongest gangsters was Jewish one.
A Jewish one?
Fact. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, I
Google.
believe that. They're very good at what they do.
Yeah.
If they're in any way related, if they're related to Mossad in any way, then there's no doubt.
Like in the 30s and 40s, like Leonard Monsky, something like that, Beanie Siegel and so on, are all Jewish gangsters,
Yeah, I didn't know that. Usually it's attributed to the Serbians or the Italians.
Well, it's correct. It's not a lie. It's not a lie. It's not.
That was the direct attack.
No. It is it's not a lie. So why would we? Don't
Well,
pretend it's not.
The entire was this group in the 90s.
One group, multiple groups,
Yeah,
all over the
multiple
place.
Groups like
Multiple groups.
Simon Clan and also there were those
Yeah, it was completely
thieves.
crazy.
Called Pink Panthers who did the greatest heist in these times.
Yeah,
Well, it was the greatest heist.
that's fine.
They have robbed some jewelry. They stole a lot of jewelry, and I just remember that it substitutes as the greatest heist.
Huh.
Well, I must to say that yes,
Because
that
you
time
know
is,
about this. Because you know about this, they'll probably hunt you down now. You know.
Well, I doubt
well,
that they are alive anymore.
Yeah, but
well,
their kids are.
yes, they are. They are. Yeah, you completely are right. Yeah, unfortunately, their kids and their wives are alive
Why?
and still,
Why? Unfortunately, I don't think that
it's
kids are
unfortunate.
guilty what their parents did.
Yes, but
It
I'm
all
talking
depends on
about
if they know where it's
wives
at.
and maybe that men are not alive. I know that they are not, but their wives and I don't know what to say. I am completely
Oh, you're just completely dumbfounded, aren't you, there,
yeah
Metal?
yeah completely. Unfortunately,
And
I was
Aldi has
yeah
Aldi's faded off into nothingness here. He doesn't even want to get involved.
yeah, he's peaceful.
Well, Metal and me have a goal to learn new to teach you to speak Serbian one day.
Oh,
That's
that'd
completely
be a
Our
help.
main
that's
goal.
completely okay. Why not? I mean, every language is good to know. I know
Yeah,
multiple
it
languages.
is.
I'm trying to learn Nepali, but by learning by listening to Aldit,
Uh-huh.
and
He's laughing at you.
it's getting slowly. I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm not. I'm just silent. I'm not talking too much about that. But my classes are going really well.
So did
Yeah.
someone of you watched the movie called Seventh Warrior?
7th Warrior. I didn't.
The
I know about
sanatorium?
Seventh
Yeah.
Warrior.
So
Sanitarium.
yeah, yeah.
Aha.
It was
I
with
understand. Seventh Warrior.
yeah. The movie is called Seventh Warrior.
Seventh
Like
Warrior.
yeah, and in that movie, there was one Arabian guy who got expelled from his land to the
He hooked up with
Vikings
those
land.
Norse.
Yeah,
He,
yeah, to the
yeah.
yeah, and he taught himself to speak the Norse language by just hearing them. It's like the stupidest idea I have ever heard. Just hearing someone to speak, and all of a sudden you know how to speak the no, you know. It's like
Hey, maybe he has really good
Well, he has good
logic.
hearing. Well, that's what they would have you believe. See,
and in just 7 days, like that is enough.
yeah,
Well, people
and he can
today,
speak fluently.
people today think they are programmers by learning programming like 7 days. And why not with a natural language? I don't understand why
Okay,
are you.
well, if you're 3 years old, that's different, you know. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta get some coffee.
Okay.
Okay. And I think there is now a scientific paper which talks about the genes and which affect your part of the brain of what will be your native language, and the more genes for